Hey y'all, welcome back. Today we're going to talk about accountability. I understand this is nobody's favorite, especially when the finger is pointing at you and what you did or what you couldn't have done. It's so much easier to point it at the other person that's in the situation with you. But we're not going to do that today. We're going to own the things that we did or didn't do and how they may have contributed to us being in the certain situation or circumstance that you are currently in. With that being said, we're going to start with the definition of accountability because maybe you don't really know what that word means while you're preaching it anywhere and elsewhere when you should be keeping it at home. So let's get into that real quick. Accountability is the obligation or willingness to take responsibility or account for one's actions. So if you listen to that and you shaking your head like, girl, no, I don't want to do it. That's fine. Well, it's actually not fine because we have to grow up at some point. We need to heal and we need to just own the things that we do. So, cut the shit. You know what I mean? Like, girl, it's time. Everything can't be baby daddy's fault. Everything can't be fiance's fault, boyfriend's fault, girlfriend's fault. Like, everything isn't everybody else's fault all the time. Everyone plays a role. Like, they have a role literally in whatever the situation is or whatever the relationship is. And you play that part a certain way. And I can give you an example. Even in a work setting, if you are the operations manager, that's your role. There's a description of your role and the duties that come with said role. And you play that role however you see fit. And sometimes in that role, people ain't gonna like you. They're not gonna like the things that you implement. You could have did this better. Nothing was wrong with it. It was great that way. It's gonna be all type of yang, 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 ning, nang, nig, nag, nag. Okay, cool, that's fine. But at the end of the day, my point is, that's your role. So when you're in a relationship, you're the girlfriend, you have a role. You're the boyfriend, you have a role. Everyone has a role to play and everyone has to play that a certain kind of way. There's descriptions for boyfriends, girlfriends, wives, whatever. There's descriptions for everybody and you're supposed to play into that description. This is where accountability comes in and we got to figure out, are you really playing your role or are you playing somebody else's? Or is your role kind of just like dangling and you'll just kind of tap in every now and again when you feel like it's convenient for you? And if that is your response, yeah, you need some help. I'm glad you're here. Let's get you together. My first question would be, how do you take accountability? And what does that look like to you? So for me personally, how I take accountability is looking at the situation as a whole from beginning to currently where I'm at. So with my present situation, I guess present/past situation, me and my son's father are no longer together. We haven't been together for 2 years. We broke up when I was pregnant in my third trimester, and amends has not been, it's just not even an option, right? So I had to look at the situation from the beginning of when we started. I even had to go back the beginning of when I even met this dude, because I've known him for 10 plus years. So I had to go back to all the way when I met him, looking at the situation then. Granted, back in the day, he was married. We've always been friends, but after he got a divorce, after he was single, and even after all the different relationships that he's had, being a friend and him confiding in me about these different relationships, I had to stop and be like, hold on. Because a lot of the time, when I'm looking at your situation, there's a lot of stuff not going how I would need it to go for somebody who is pursuing me. That's the reality. Like, I would not have let a bunch of shit slide because you are my friend if you was just some regular dude that I met at the club, at a bar, or whatever. I had requirements. Like, you need to have these things to be with me. But you didn't have these things, and I was still with you because of the friendship. So in this instant, I had to go back there and look at it from then up until now and realize that, girl, you took no accountability whatsoever. And now look at the situation that you're in. And as heartbreaking as that is, it's the truth. You know what I'm saying? Like, accountability is never a pretty thing 9 times out of 10, because you think that you are presenting yourself in one way and you may not be actually doing that. So I can own up to say that I'm so obsessed with love, being in love, being loved, and being able to give my love to someone that I allowed myself to be in a situation that wasn't conducive. Like, I didn't even see this person in that way, like that. Like, there was no spark. And I'm the type of person that requires some spark. Like, I want some giddiness, some excitement. It wasn't there. It was just like, okay, this is my friend and we could get there. In my mind, hey, we could get there. You know what I'm saying? Like, I could get to like loving you and falling in love and all of the things. That's how I had it in my head. But the reality of the situation was still the things that I needed and required that you weren't giving, at least not on a solo act. It was still present in our relationship, and that caused an issue. And it's hard for someone else to take accountability when they feel like they're not part of the problem. Like, if I'm owning my stuff, I need you to do the same thing, and let's just work towards it from there. But that was not the case in this situation. So can you own your faults in the relationship or that situation? Did you do something against what you would normally do because of the desire of something else? Did you think that that desire would surface? Do you believe that you can grow to actually love somebody and actually grow to become in love with them and not like in a normal setting? So when I say not in a normal setting, I mean this isn't somebody like you met on a whim and it's like exciting, like, oh my gosh, and then that person becomes your person. I mean, like, you know this person and you don't see them like that, but could that happen and grow to that? Like, is that such a bad thing? And then when it doesn't happen, you like, damn, because I knew better. So what is it that drives us to go against what we know because we want something so bad? So in summary, the role I played in this was the desire to love so much, I chose to ignore what was. And it was an irresponsible role. So when we have these roles, are you playing it responsibly or are you playing it irresponsibly? And knowing that I chose to ignore something that I require is an irresponsible choice on my decision. How long did it take for me to realize that I was part of the problem? In this particular situation, this specific one, probably 4 or 5 months. It didn't take long, but I also was pregnant by the time I figured it out. And I had tried to make it work, but yeah, I was kind of checking out by then. And how does it feel? It feels great, but then it also, it hurts a little bit because you realize that you put yourself in a lot of situations based on the lack of self-worth and self-love. And that's just not something I'm going to do ever again in life if love so chooses to find me again. I hope you have learned something from this, and I hope that you can look within yourself to own your faults and take responsibility and work on those things and just be better at the end of the day. That's all we can do is work, heal, grow, and be better.